Good day everyone, I am Meraluna Esparagoza and I am your presenter for today. And our topic today was all about the authentic assessment in the classroom. Specifically, we will explore about why use authentic assessment and its 4 principles. But before that, let's have our objectives first. At the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to first determine the 4 principles of authentic assessment. Second, explain the importance of using authentic assessment. And lastly, to differentiate the 4 principles of authentic assessment. So let us define first what is authentic assessment. So, it is a process that evaluates students' knowledge and skills through real-world tasks. So, it focuses on students' ability to apply what they have learned and helping them develop essential skills. So this assessment aims to make learning more meaningful, engaging, and relevant to real-life situations. So why use authentic assessment? So there are several reasons why authentic assessment has become more and more popular in. So for us, the teachers, authentic assessment is good because authentic assessments are direct measures. Of course, we do not just want our students to know the content of the disciplines when they graduate. We of course want them to be able to use the acquired knowledge and skills in the real world. So, our assessments have to also tell us if students can apply what they have learned in authentic situations or in real-life situations. Second, authentic assessment capture constructive nature of learning. Of course, we cannot simply be fed by knowledge. We need to construct our own meaning of the world using information we have gathered and were taught and our own experiences with the world. That is according to Bransford in BA 1989. And the third one, authentic assessments integrate teaching, learning, and assessment. In the authentic assessment model, the same authentic task used to measure the student's ability to apply the knowledge or skills used as a vehicle for student learning. And the fourth one, authentic assessments provide multiple paths to demonstration. Yes, we all have the different strengths and weaknesses in how we learn. Similarly, we are different in how we can best demonstrate what we have learned. So, testing favors those who are best or better test takers. Now, let's proceed in how authentic assessment can benefit students in many ways. First, students generally accept authentic assessment as valid approach and favor it as a method that motivates them to engage in deeper and more productive learning. Second, because it involves addressing relatively unstructured, unpredictable challenges, so it helps students rehearse for complex ambiguities of working and professional life and to visualize themselves as real professionals. And the third one, students can reflect on and assess their own work and effort so they can see meaningfully and in situation how effectively they apply the conceptual learning. And the fourth one, students can integrate their learning in a holistic way, so bringing together work samples collected over time perhaps in a preparation of a portfolio. And the fifth one, external stakeholders such as industry groups and professional bodies favor universities offering work-relevant experiences. So authentic assessment enhances graduate employability by developing students' work readiness capabilities. And the sixth one, it can creatively disrupt the traditional power balance in an assessment by allowing external markers to give feedback on and or grade students' work and students to actively engage in self and peer assessment. And the last one, authentic assessment addresses calls for sustainable assessment, so it helps equip learners with relevant workplace skills and competences and prepares them for lifelong learning. Okay, this time we will discuss about the 4 principles of authentic assessment. So, the first one is that focus on what really matters. Second, provide valid indications. Third, use assessment to support learning. And the fourth one, using teachers' time efficiently. First, focus on what really matters. Authentic assessment should concentrate on what truly matters in student learning. So, teachers need to evaluate students based on essential learning objectives, not on small or unrelated factors. Like, for example, in a project or task given where things like punctuality or neatness are important, they should not outweigh the quality of students' work or their understanding of the lesson. In other words, students' grades should be based mainly on the knowledge and skills they demonstrate. So when assessment focuses only on a narrow skills such as memorizing facts, students miss opportunities to develop critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. So this is why standardized tests are often criticized. They measure what is easy to grade instead of what is the most meaningful for learning. So to support student growth, teachers must ensure their assessment align closely with what the curriculum intends students to learn. So to stay focused on key goals, teachers can plan carefully using tools like table of specifications, which help ensure every learning objective is assigned or assessed fairly over a grading period. So teachers should review quizzes, projects, and performance tasks to check if they emphasize the right skills. So for example, in a science research project, accuracy of information, analysis, and explanation should matter more than whether the paper was submitted early. So by prioritizing what really matters, teachers support deeper learning and help students develop important lifelong skills. And with this, students are encouraged to think deeply, produce quality work, and develop lifelong skills rather than just aim for easy points. So here are the other examples on focusing on what matters. First, grading a history project mainly on analysis and explanation, not on handwriting style. Second, scoring a math task based on correct solutions and reasoning with only small deductions for late submission. Third, evaluating speech and clarity, argument, and confidence, not on whether the students use expensive props. Fourth, assessing a science experiment by accuracy of results and explanation, not only on the beauty of the lab report. And the fifth, giving full credit for a well-augured essay, even if the design or formatting is simple. And the second principle is that provide valid indications. So authentic assessment should provide valid evidence of what students truly know and can do. Validity means the assessment must measure the skills or knowledge it is designed to evaluate. So if an activity or task focuses on unrelated skills or it is unclear, it may fail to show a student's real ability. Assessment should reflect real-life tasks and be connected to actual learning goals, not random or irrelevant requirements. Validity also depends on how the assessment is given. For example, surprise tests, confusing instructions, or overly strict time limits can prevent students from demonstrating what they really know. In some cases, tests may measure students' language ability or test-taking skills more than their understanding, especially for students who speak a different first language. To improve fairness, students can explain tasks clearly, allow oral explanations or visuals, and offer alternative ways for students to express learning. So this ensures that assessment reflects what they understand, not just how they will read, write, or handle pressure. To make results more meaningful, teachers should use several ways to collect evidence instead of relying on one single test. Tools such as journals, rubrics, observations, and real-world tasks can reveal deeper learning and attitudes that written exams might miss. For example, if the goal is to see whether students can solve real-life problems, teachers should observe them working on an actual task, not simply ask them to list steps from memory. So multiple assessment methods increase the chances of accurately capturing student learning and reduce bias or misunderstanding. And here are the other examples. First, assessing student science learning through a hands-on experiment rather than only a multiple-choice test. Second, allowing students to present findings orally if written English may hide their true understanding. Third, using role-playing in a history class to see if students truly grasp events and perspectives. Fourth, requiring math students to solve a real budgeting problem instead of memorizing formulas. And the fifth one, having students keep a reflection journal during a project to show thinking, challenges, and improvement. And the third principle is that use assessment to support learning. So it means assessment should not only measure what students know at a given moment but also help them learn and improve. So when students see assessment as a tool for growth rather than just a grade, so they become more engaged and motivated. Effective assessment communicates expectations clearly, involves students in the process, provide helpful feedback, and gives opportunities for improvement. By designing assessment to support learning, teachers can turn every task into a chance for growth. So therefore, involving students in assessment is a key strategy to enhance learning. Students can participate in setting criteria, creating tasks, and conducting self and peer assessment. This involvement helps them understand expectations and take ownership of their learning. So feedback plays an equally important role. It should clearly identify what students did well, what needs improvement, and how to improve. For example, teacher might give detailed comments on a draft essay, hold a one-on-one conference, and show high-quality examples so students can revise and enhance their work before final submission. Furthermore, this assessment also provides opportunities and incentives for continuous improvements. Students should be encouraged to reflect on feedback, set specific learning goals, and revise their work to achieve better results. This could include make-up assignments, additional tasks, or regular follow-up assessment to reinforce key skills. For instance, after receiving feedback on a science project, students could revise their experiment design and resubmit it, applying the teacher's suggestions to demonstrate improvement. Using assessment in this way promotes independent, proactive, and lifelong learning. Here are the other examples. First, students co-create a rubric for a group presentation and then assess themselves and their peers using it. Second, math students solve practice problems, get feedback on mistakes, and attempt a new set to improve. Third, art students display a rough sketches, receive comments, and revise their final artwork before grading. Fourth, science students maintain a lab journal, track progress, and use feedback to design better experiments. And the last one, language learners write a paragraph, get feedback on grammar and ideas, and rewrite it to show improvement. And the fourth principle is that using teachers' time efficiently. So effective assessment must balance learning goals with efficient use of teacher time. So while authentic assessments are valuable, they often require significant preparation and evaluation effort. To make assessment practical, teachers need strategies that save time without compromising quality. Planning and organizing assessment smartly. It allows teachers to focus their energy where it matters most while still supporting student learning. And the tools like rubrics, self-assessment, and peer assessment can greatly increase efficiency. So although creating a rubric initially takes time, it streamlines grading and ensures consistency. Similarly, training students to evaluate their own or peers' work can reduce the teacher's workload while promoting student responsibility. So when students provide meaningful feedback to each other, teachers spend less time on repetitive corrections and can focus on guiding more complex learning tasks. Similarly, it is a time-efficient assessment because it encourages independent learning. So when students understand that they are accountable for their own grades and improvement, they become more self-reliant and motivated. For example, in a group project, students can use a rubric to assess each other's contributions, while the teacher reviews only the final summary, so saving hours of individual grading. So by combining a thoughtful planning, student involvement, and structured tools, teachers can maintain the effective assessment practices without being overwhelmed. And here are the additional examples. First, using a detailed rubric to grade essays instead of writing long comments on every paper. Second, students submit draft artwork and conduct peer critics before the teacher evaluates the final piece. Third, self-assessment checklist for math problems to let students identify and correct errors before submission. Fourth, peer review of short writing assignments to reduce the number of individual corrections required by the teacher. And the last one, students maintain progress journals that the teacher reviews weekly instead of grading every task individually. So in summary, authentic assessment evaluates students through real-world tasks. So there are 4 principles of authentic assessment, which is focus on what really matters, provide valid indications, use assessment to support learning, and use teacher's time efficiently. That could be all for today. Once again, I am Meraluna Esparagoza, and I am your presenter. Thank you for listening.